Straight ahead on Falcon Weekly.
Reevaluating ISIS, President Obama admits his administration underestimated the militant group. We'll update you on the efforts to destroy ISIS.
And new recalls impacts hundreds of thousands of Ford vehicles. Find out why some popular models are being recalled.
And a Frozen fiasco. Hear why one woman is suing Disney over the movie Frozen. Falcon Weekly starts now.
Hello, and welcome to Falcon Weekly. I'm Carmela Williams.
And I'm Kayla Guillo. Thanks so much for joining us.
Now for a look at world headlines. More diplomatic efforts in the war on ISIS as the president admits mistakes were made about the danger posed by the militant group. Reporter Andy Rose has the details.
President Obama makes a frank admission about the rise of ISIS.
I think our head of the intelligence community, Jim Clapper, has acknowledged that I think they underestimated what had been taking place in Syria.
In an interview with 60 Minutes, the president also acknowledged the U.S. overestimated what Iraqi forces could do in response. Senator John McCain disagrees.
We predicted this and watched it. It was like watching a train wreck. It is a direct result of our failure to leave a residual force behind, and when they say we couldn't, they are not telling the truth.
McCain also criticized Congress for adjourning without voting on military action in Syria. House Speaker John Boehner tells ABC he would bring lawmakers back to Washington if the president submits a war resolution. Meanwhile, the aerial assault on ISIS continues. As Kurdish forces continue to engage ISIS militants near the border with Turkey, one ISIS fighter spoke with CNN, scoffing at the coalition airstrikes.
They hit us in some areas and we advance in others. If we are pushed back in Iraq, we advance in northern Syria. These strikes cannot stop us, our support, or our fighters.
And while the military campaign continues, the White House says General John Allen, the man in charge of the coalition response, will go to the Middle East. His mission will be to shore up support from Arab nations in stopping the flow of foreign fighters and funds to the terrorist group. In Atlanta, I'm Andy Rose reporting.
The latest CNN ORC poll numbers show 73% of Americans approve of the airstrikes. However, more than half, 52%, disapprove of how the president is handling his job.
The desperate search for missing hikers on Japan's Mount Ontak-K is now suspended. Authorities blame dangerous conditions at the summit. Gas is spewing from the mountain right now, which began erupting Saturday. So far, police have recovered and identified at least 12 bodies after a deadly volcanic eruption on Saturday. Another 24 are presumed dead, but authorities worry even more could be buried under the ash. In Hong Kong, pro-democracy supporters have been protesting in the streets since last week. You can see thousands of people are still protesting. They're outraged that China refuses to let anyone run for the post of Hong Kong chief executive unless they first get approval from Beijing. Sunday night, there were clashes between protesters and the authorities. Police fired tear gas and pepper spray into the crowd. In national headlines, police say a man who beheaded his former co-worker in Oklahoma will face charges.
Police say Alton Nolan went on a rampage at a food company Friday after being fired. Reporter Andrew Spencer has our story.
The accusations against Alton Nolan are hard for his family to hear. In a video posted online, a woman who identifies herself as Nolan's mother says there must be another side to the story.
I know what they're saying that he done, but I'm going to tell you this. That's not my son.
Nolan was fired from a food processing plant in Oklahoma last Thursday. Police say he came back later in the day, attacking the first people he saw, using a knife to sever the head of a woman in the front office, then stabbing another woman several times. Police say Nolan had a Facebook profile under a different name, with posts appearing to support Islamic radicals. Members of Nolan's mosque described the recent convert as distant, quiet, even odd.
You could tell that he was different from everyone else. But as far as violence, we never saw it coming.
But a state trooper who arrested Nolan in 2010 saw a different side of him. At one point, she says she had her gun pointed at his back.
If there had been any way to know the things that he is alleged to have done a couple of days ago, I would have killed him when I had the opportunity.
Police say they expect to charge Nolan with first-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
According to federal law enforcement officials, the attack does not appear to be linked to terrorism.
Officials are still searching for clues after a Utah family was found dead in their home Saturday. Authorities are baffled by the lack of concrete evidence following the mysterious death of this family of 5 over the weekend. Officials say a son found the bodies of his parents and siblings in a bedroom of their home. According to police, preliminary autopsy results have ruled out violent assault and there are no obvious signs of trauma. Tensions are still high in Ferguson, Missouri after nearly 2 months since the shooting death of unarmed teenager Michael Brown. Dozens of demonstrators assembled outside the Ferguson Police Department Sunday night after 2 officers were shot over the weekend. A manhunt is underway for the man who shot an officer in the arm Saturday night. 3 hours later, an off-duty police officer was hit in a drive-by shooting. Police are unsure whether he was targeted or the victim of a random act of violence. No suspects have been caught, and police say there is no indication that the shootings are connected to the death of Michael Brown.
Rescue crews plucked a group of people, including children, from the waters off Southwest Florida Saturday. The 4 adults and 3 children were taking part in a fishing tournament when their boat flipped. All 7 people were stranded in the water near Sanibel Island. One of the men called his wife, who called police. About an hour later, the Sanibel Fire and Rescue arrived and got all 7 out of the water. The Coast Guard was called in and credits safety preparedness for saving their lives.
The situation went okay due to the fact that they had life-saving equipment on board. They were able to put on their life jackets and they were able to make a phone call before going in the water.
Coast Guard officials say a wave may have caused the boat to flip.
A new study from Wallet Hub has just revealed the most and least happy states in America. Among the 10 happiest states, Utah tops the list at number 1, with Minnesota and North Dakota taking 2nd and 3rd place. Numbers are not so great for Alabama, however, which ranked in the bottom 5 as one of the least happiest places to live. Other states that came in last include Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi, and West Virginia. In this week's campus news, 4 Mass Communication students got the chance to work as real-life reporters for Alabama's 13 Sunday. MC majors Sydney Fields, Chloe Allen, Sloan Popple, and Lauren Altafar spent the day reporting on community service projects that were part of the Magic City Miracle. Their stories were featured on a live webcast Sunday night. To see their reports, just go to our Facebook page.
UM's theater department is preparing to present the black comedy God of Carnage this week. The show will be October 2nd through 4th at 7:30 p.m. and October 5th at 2 p.m. in the Chichester Theater. Tickets are now on sale. They are $8 for students, faculty, and staff, and $12 general admission. The Life Raft debate is October 9th, and time is running out to decide who will rebuild humanity. Students and professors can nominate any faculty member to take part in the debate. To nominate someone, email Dr. Michael Patton.
UPC is hosting their annual AIM event, Stuff a Friend, this Tuesday. Students have the opportunity to relive their childhood by creating their very own stuffed animal. This stuffing will take place at 5 p.m. at Anna Irvin Dining Hall. This is always a very popular event, so make sure you arrive early if you want to stuff a friend.
Up next on Falcon Weekly, Ford is recalling thousands of vehicles for faulty airbags. Find out which models are affected.
Flu season is just around the corner. We'll put your knowledge about the flu shot to the test.
And smartphones and stress. Being too connected to your mobile devices can hurt your health. See how you can prevent it. Those stories and more when Falcon Weekly returns.
In consumer news, Ford is recalling 850,000 cars due to an airbag problem. A short circuit could keep the airbags from deploying in a crash. Ford says it will replace the computer module in cars that are affected. Models covered by the recall include some of the 2013 and 2014 Ford Fusion, Escape, C-Max, and Lincoln MKZ vehicles. No accidents or injuries related to the problem have been reported. Harley-Davidson is voluntarily recalling 126,000 motorcycles over a problem with the clutch. The recall applies to certain 2014 touring bikes. Owners were sent a letter about the recall in the last week. The Harley-Davidson says the clutch may not disengage and could cause a crash. A spokeswoman for the company said that the flaw is connected to 19 accidents. Separately, Harley-Davidson is recalling about 1,400 street bikes for a possible fuel tank leak.
23 deaths have now been linked to General Motors' faulty ignition switch problem. That's up from 21, according to a report from the program set to compensate accident victims. As of Friday, more than 150 death claims have been submitted to the program. General Motors engineers first knew the ignition switch flaw a decade ago, but the company publicly acknowledged it for the first time in February. GM has now recalled 2.6 million cars related to the problem. New numbers show American spending is on the rise. This offers evidence that the economy looks promising heading into the final quarter of the year. According to the Commerce Department, consumer spending in August rose 0.5% from July. Consumer spending accounts for about 70% of economic activity, and analysts welcome this increase as a sign that the economy is sustaining strength. Income also rose in August by 0.3%, which is up slightly from a 0.2% increase in July.
It may cost you more money to access your money, especially if you use an ATM. According to a new survey by Bankrate, out-of-network ATM fees jumped 5% to a new high. On average, customers were charged $4.35 per transaction. Bankrate also reports that those high fees kept most people from using such ATMs. ATM fees have skyrocketed 23% over the past 5 years.
Taking a look at this week's health headlines, a fourth doctor exposed to the deadly Ebola virus is now being treated in the U.S.
The doctor arrived at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, Sunday wearing a medical isolation suit. The NIH is testing a new Ebola vaccine on human volunteers. The doctor, who has not been identified, was exposed to Ebola while working in Sierra Leone. Now that fall is officially here, and that means it's time to start thinking about flu season.
And you've probably heard a lot of myths about who should get the shot. Reporter Holly Furfer shows us that one of the best ways to fight the flu is with the truth.
By now you probably know it's flu season, but you still may be on the fence about getting a flu shot. Here's a look at some of the most common myths. First, kids don't need flu vaccines. Wrong, they do. Experts recommend that all children over the age of 6 months get a flu shot, with one interesting twist.
New this year, we're preferentially recommending nasal spray vaccine for healthy children 2 to 8 years old who don't have any contraindications or precautions when it's available immediately.
The flu shot can give you the flu. Not so, according to the CDC. In addition, the flu shot does not protect you from other pathogens and viruses. It's also not guaranteed to work every time, particularly in people with weak immune systems or the elderly. However, it can help to prevent flu-related complications. Pregnant women should not get a flu shot. Well, this one's definitely not true. All pregnant women need one, regardless of trimester. But experts say the sooner, the better for the baby. And because it's a live virus, these women need to avoid flu mist. It's a good idea to wait until later in the season to get vaccinated. Not so. The shot will cover you all flu season long. But remember, the flu shot's protection does not take effect for 2 weeks from the time it was given. For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
You may have to prepay for medical procedures the next time you go to the hospital. A report from CNN says more hospitals are asking patients to pay their bills in advance. The change is sparked by the fact that more Americans are paying more of their medical costs, and hospitals don't want to get stuck with patients who can't pay. The report says if a patient can't prepay, some hospitals offer payment plans. Patients also still have the option of waiting for their bill to be processed by their insurance provider before paying.
If you're like most of us, you know the urge to check your phone every time you hear it make a noise.
But being constantly connected to your smartphone could be causing your stress levels to rise. Reporter Susan Hendricks shows us some ways to keep those interruptions from hurting your health.
Ringing, dinging, even flashing. If alerts are not turned off, smartphones can constantly prompt their owners.
The technology travels with us everywhere we go, intrudes into our awareness, and is routinely interrupting our concentration or our ability to focus.
If this sounds familiar, here are some tips to be smart about your smartphone use.
The first thing is to tune into how you're using your smartphone. Is it dictating your life, or are you actually creating rules on how you're going to use it? Maybe you're willing to check your phone once an hour or once every half hour rather than every time you hear an alert.
Practicing mindfulness, being truly aware of your surroundings may help, says psychologist Scott B.
One of the things that reduces stress in people is a sense of controllability. And so as we relinquish, our smartphones a little bit or create better decision rules, we get back a sense that we're actually in governance of our life and in governance of where our attention is going.
That means deciding when you are going to bother with your phone versus when it's going to bother you.
If your phone goes off every time you get an email, one quick fix is to change your phone's email setting from push to fetch. Once you make the change, your phone will only alert you every hour or so, instead of every time an email hits your inbox.
A new study finds that people who drink and work out are often doing both on the same days. A study from Northwestern Medicine found people tend to drink more on days they work out. The researchers say the connection could be because people drink more to reward themselves for working, or working out could lead to more social situations where alcohol is present. According to the study, Thursdays and Sundays are when people are more likely to work out and drink.
Now it's time for a look at this week's entertainment news.
Falcon Weekly's Elise Hartigan joins us for a look at our Hollywood headlines. Hey, Elise.
Hey, guys. Well, it looks like one of Hollywood's most available bachelors is off the market now. Actor George Clooney exchanges vows with British human rights lawyer Amal Alamuddin during a private ceremony in Venice, Italy, Saturday. Celebrity guests include Matt Damon, Cindy Crawford, and Anna Wintour. After a weekend-long wedding celebration, the new Mr. and Mrs. Clooney made their union official Monday at a civil service. The first grandchild for the Clintons has arrived. Former first daughter Chelsea Clinton gave birth Friday, announcing the news via Twitter over the weekend. Chelsea and her husband opted to wait for the birth to find out the child's sex, surprised them with a baby girl named Charlotte. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton tweeted their happiness as well. In other baby news, Snooki welcomes her little girl on Friday. Snooki announces Giovanna's arrival via Twitter that same day. This is Snooki's second child. And the baby news doesn't stop there. Tyler Perry is getting ready for his biggest role yet, fatherhood. The 45-year-old actor, producer, and director is expecting his first child with his model girlfriend. People magazine reports that the baby is due in late fall. A woman is claiming that mega hit Frozen is her life story and has filed a $250 million lawsuit against Disney. Isabella Tonikumi says the animated film took elements from her 2010 autobiography, Living My Truth. Court documents obtained by E! News include a list of motifs Tonikumi claims were taken from her book, such as two sisters, open doors or gates, and a moon setting. A Disney spokeswoman responded to her claims saying, quote, "This is beyond ridiculous. She needs to let it go." So what do you guys think of the lawsuit?
I agree. I think she does need to let it go.
I think it's completely ridiculous.
It is a little ridiculous. Up next, Dion Thrift joins us with a look at this week's sports. Falcon Weekly will be right back.
I'm Dion Thrift, and here's a look at this week's sports. Starting off, the Montevallo women's volleyball team's win streak comes to an end after a loss to Armstrong State University. The 22nd ranked Pirates gave the Falcons a 3-0 loss, ending the Falcons' 7-hot game win streak. The Falcons will be back in action this Wednesday against GRU Augusta and Clark Atlanta. There is some good news for the women's volleyball team. During the Falcons' 7-game win streak, volleyball coach Katie O'Brien picked up her 300th career coaching win. For the past 7 years, 122 of O'Brien's 300 wins have come from coaching at Montevallo. Congrats, Coach O'Brien. The Montevallo's men's soccer team recorded its 3rd tie of the season after facing conference foe Francis Marion. The Falcons will return to action on the road on October the 1st against Clayton State. Meanwhile, the women's soccer team slump continues after a 5-0 blowout loss to Armstrong State. The loss gives Montevallo its 2nd conference loss of the season and, well, its 4th loss overall. The Falcons will return to action on the 1st of October when they take on defending PBC champions Clayton State. The women's golf team was in action over the weekend. The women's golf finished 6th in the Lander Bearcat Invitational. 16 teams participated in the Invitational. Sophomores Elaine Wood and Emily Rumke finished in the top 10. The Falcons swing back into action October 20th at St. Leo. And that's a look at this week's sports.
Thanks, Dion. Finally today, we have all seen people riding bikes, skateboards, and motorcycles to campus.
But what if more people started riding unicycles? Electric unicycles could be the transportation of the future. These one-wheeled wonders can go 12 miles per hour and have a range of 28 miles. Mailmen in Britain are trying out the electric unicycles, and commuters are using them too because they are cheap and portable, and they're fun to ride. So Carmela, do you think you would ride one?
I can't ride a non-electric unicycle, so I think electric would just be too much for me.
I'm pretty sure I'm with you on that.
That's all the time we have for this week's show. Thank you so much for joining us.
For more UM news, be sure to check out the Falcon News Network blog. The web address is on your screen. We'll see you again next week.